Let's check out this video called Why McDonald's is Better in Europe. I haven't been to McDonald's in Europe. I've been to a McDonald's in Japan. That was about 10 years ago. And it was nicer. It was more modern. They had kind of nicer designs for the interiors and things like that. And I don't really go to McDonald's. I go maybe twice a year. But recently I went to two McDonald's here where I live in LA. And they actually were nicer as well. They were newly remodeled. It looks like they got refreshed. And they look more like the McDonald's I went to Japan 10 years ago. So let's see what the difference is at a McDonald's in Europe.
On November 19, 2022, Juan Baus tweeted this picture, absolutely loving the design of this reusable packaging that's being introduced at McDonald's France. The reusable packaging went viral, like really viral. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, retweeted him and said something French. We saw all of this and had a lot of questions. How come McDonald's is introducing this type of packaging? Why in France? And
oh, that's interesting. So they have reusable packaging for fries and everything.
Does it look so good? In the following months, we went down a rabbit hole and ended up modeling the entire dishware collection. As it turns out, sleek fry containers tell many stories. How the European Union is bringing conglomerates like McDonald's to their knees. Not just...
He sounds a little hostile there, bringing them to their knees, conglomerates. Now, McDonald's is not a conglomerate. As far as I know, they only have one line of business, which are fast food restaurants, so it's not a conglomerate. We had more conglomerates back in the 80s and 90s maybe, and not so much anymore. In Europe, they still have conglomerates, like LVMH would be a conglomerate. They have different businesses, different lines of businesses.
France, but all over the continent. How a country known for everything fancy developed a truly unique relationship with fast food. And a completely different type of McDonald's.
Okay, yeah, that does look nicer. Yeah, it looks more like IKEA, where they have the kitchen sections. And the ones here in LA, they look more like this, but not as nice still. But they were newly remodeled.
McDonald's in France, you don't understand how popular it is.
And, of course, how good design can transform experiences.
Have you ever been to a McDonald's in Paris?
Now that stuff, it looks like it's made out of plastic. I'm not sure if I want hot food in there, but hopefully it's made out of silicone or something that doesn't melt.
Why?
Or leak into the food itself.
Anyways, it all started with a simple message. Yo, Juan, would you be down? He was.
There is something there with the whole ad campaign around it, and I think people's reactions to it are quite good. But then also maybe like the question is like, are people going to steal this?
When Juan is not going viral and getting featured in Drew Gooden videos, he's a UX writer for some of the biggest brands out there. Oh, and Juan also lives in Paris. To get a better look at this weird new packaging, we needed a man on the ground. Juan was that man. The design is truly spectacular. We will get to that in a minute. First, we need to understand why this is happening. As we reviewed Juan's footage...
Yeah, I wonder what they do with the drive-thru stuff. I mean, I guess they must have the paper ones for the drive-thru, if they still have a drive-thru in France.
Dug deeper, we realized that it's...
Those are some colorful fries. They look like veggie fries.
It's the packaging that makes French McDonald's special.
Chapter 1. The Rise of McDo.
Fast food in France do not seem like a good match. It's the country of fine dining, Michelin stars, and long-lasting dinners in cozy bistros. When McDonald's came to the country in 1997, the French were skeptical.
70, 80 top chefs in the country took out a newspaper ad in the country's biggest newspaper saying that they thought it was preposterous that McDonald's was coming to France. And
preposterous. That's how they get rid of lower-priced competition, I guess, in France. They take out an advertisement in the newspaper and say that the competitor is preposterous.
This is absolutely ridiculous. We need to stop this fast food thing.
Yeah, you got to stop the fast food thing so they can continue doing their restaurant business and charge higher prices, right?
Not help but indulge, like everybody else on the planet.
Ici, c'est plus complet, c'est plus sympa.
Nonetheless, the company remained controversial for decades. In 1992, it launched a poster campaign showing the French chef and absolute superstar Paul Bocuse secretly dreaming about a Big Mac while examining a pile of plump chickens. The chef sued right away for $2.7 million.
When I found out these were real Big Mac advertisements, I immediately contacted my lawyers and instructed them to seek damages.
I would never eat a Big Mac. How dare they put my picture in their advertisement?
Seen promoting this tasteless, boneless food in which everything is soft.
His lawyer added the ad would be
an intolerable insult to the Pope of world cuisine.
7 years later, it got much worse for the fast food chain. At the time, the World Trade Organization and the US were trying to force Europe to accept imports of hormone-induced beef. Europe resisted, and the US in turn imposed heavy duties on certain luxury products as a retaliatory measure. One of the items was Roquefort cheese from France. French sheep farmers were angry, and they found a
you want a trade war? You got one.
Of American global capitalism and trade doctrine like no other, McDonald's. So a French horde went and utterly wrecked a restaurant of the chain, which was currently under construction in the small French city, Millau. The horde was led by the activist and sheep farmer José Bové, the Frenchest-looking man of all time. I mean, what even is this pipe? The McDonald's incident made Bové a national hero and leader of the French anti-globalization movement. He published a best-selling book 2 years later, and in 2007 he ran for president. Later he went into European politics, all on the back of really hating McDonald's.
José Bové rose to global fame 15 years ago after he demolished a half-built McDonald's.
However, despite Bové's crusade, McDonald's could not be slayed. Off the bat, it had a competitive advantage over brasseries, bistros, and cafés. The restaurants were designated as takeout joints. This meant the value-add tax was just 5.5% versus the 19.6% at gastronomic restaurants.
So after watching the video, I actually remembered that I have been to McDonald's in Europe. I remember going to McDonald's in Spain. I don't remember it being nicer than the remodeled McDonald's here in LA. I do remember getting a really small orange juice, and I think some of the menu items there were different. I think you can get a beer there. So perhaps it's not McDonald's in Europe that's better, but maybe McDonald's in France. In the video, the narrator says that McDonald's had a competitive advantage because it had a different value-added tax rate than brasseries and perhaps full-service restaurants in France. That is not a competitive advantage. A competitive advantage is something a company develops that gives it an edge over competitors that would be really difficult for competitors to replicate or even impossible. So perhaps a brasserie or full-service restaurant is not a direct competitor, but maybe a sandwich shop or a new entrant, let's say Burger King comes in, they would have the same exact value-added tax rate as McDonald's. So it is not a competitive advantage since a competitor can easily achieve the same thing just simply by entering the same market segment. They would get the same exact value-added tax rate as McDonald's. So there's no competitive advantage there. What is McDonald's true competitive advantage is probably their low-cost structure. They have economies of scale. It's a global company. They've been able to adapt to local tastes internationally and implement those low-cost strategies globally. And I think that is their true competitive advantage that will be very difficult for competitors to achieve. And a low cost doesn't mean low prices. It does not have to translate to low prices. It can mean a company can charge market prices, but because they have a lower cost structure with that competitive advantage, they can get a higher profit margin. So I think that might be the case for McDonald's is low cost competitive advantage. Anyway, just wanted to point that out, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.
It's cheap, and the French economy was bad, like always. Another factor played
It was bad, like always.
bigger role though. McDonald's always has been good at inserting itself into the local culture of the country it operates in. But nowhere
Yeah, they've been really good at adapting to local customs.
has it succeeded on such a scale as in France. The company realized that French customers were drastically different from American ones.
Yeah.
Americans visited McDonald's more often, at any time of the day, frequently alone, opting for takeout 70% of the time. In contrast, the French came in groups, spent more money per visit, and significantly more time in the restaurants. 70%.
Interesting. So it's more of a sit-down place. They like to sit down for their meals, spend more time, and also spend more money. So McDonald's had the opportunity to go more upmarket here.
Them dropped in during regular lunch and dinner hours. French McDonald's was not treated like a takeout place by customers, but like any other bistro. As NPR puts it, sitting down to a meal is a cornerstone of French culture. So the chain adapted.
Yeah, they're foodies.
In the US, its restaurants are designed to attract people from afar, the golden M glooming high, calling you to that sweet, sweet drive-in in a car. The interior is often a little uncomfortable, intended
Yeah, that looks more like the McDonald's I went to in LA.
minimize customer visiting time
Yeah.
and maximize purchasing turnover.
Yeah, those stools, those bar stools, they're not very comfortable. So they're meant for somebody to sit down for 10 minutes and eat and then leave.
In France, the restaurants are often sleek, modern, and comfortable. You can find relatively cozy corners designated
That looks-
specifically for larger
That
groups
looks
of people.
nice. Yeah, it looks like
Sometimes there's
you can spend some time there.
table service. On the outside, the golden M is often subdued on the facade. The architecture is regionally diverse. McDonald's in France almost doesn't feel like fast food.
Yeah.
That is so apparent, even the dumbest show on the planet, Emily in Paris, noticed.
This is so chic. There's no grimace, no hamburglar.
What's
Camp.
an Everglar?
And never mind.
Products are locally sourced, and there are unique offerings like the obvious McBaguette, but also a Croque McDo. McDonald's
Wow, Mag Baguette, Croque McDo. That's not something I can get at McDonald's here. I guess they adapted to the local tastes.
does everywhere, of course. But
Nutella?
they do it very well in France. There's a funny little review of the world-famous La Dorée macarons in Paris on TripAdvisor. The reviewer concludes, the macarons taste the same as the ones sold at McDonald's across the road, except for 4 times as much as the price.
They taste the same, but they're not the same.
You see, this person from London is not just angry. They are onto something. The macarons at McDonald's are indeed manufactured by the same company.
Oh, they are the same. Wow.
Today, McDonald's is universally called McDo in France. It is a cultural institution and even has its own slogan.
Venez comme vous êtes. So like, come as you are.
It is considered to be one of the biggest and most profitable markets for McDonald's in the world. So, McDo is special. But why would they come up with reusable dishware? It seems like quite the hassle. Well, the root of it all is the EU.
Chapter 2. The
They had some regulations, I guess.
use war on plastic.
Sometimes people don't realize how powerful the EU actually is. The European Union's executive body, the Commission, can issue directives. These directives are goals which must be achieved by all member countries, but every country can decide on how to get there. Once translated into national law, the member states must notify the Commission, which in turn checks if it is A-OK. Then the directive needs to be enforced in every country. If a member fails, it may get fined. A particularly famous directive is Directive 2019/904 of the European Parliament and of the Council of 5 June 2019. Okay, whatever. No. Basically, it's a big EU move to reduce the impact of plastic on the environment. This includes the much ridiculed ban of plastic straws and balloon sticks. But in truth,
Yeah, it's the same thing here in California. We get those paper straws now.
it goes much further than plastic straws becoming paper ones. For example, the directive makes single-use plastic producers pay to clean up single-use trash. And finally, the important point, it forces member countries to find ways to reduce the consumption of single-use plastics, such as food containers and beverage cups. France is always exceedingly extra and top of the class in combating plastic. They've gone way above what...
Yeah, I guess here only the tray is plastic and reusable, but like the holders for the French fries, they're paper, so they're meant to be used once and thrown away.
Expected and banned new single-use plastic packaging from 2040. From early 2025, new plastic packaging has to be made of 100% recycled plastic. And since the beginning of 2023, single-use packaging is banned from French fast food restaurants. Which brings us to this.
Chapter 3. Le dessin est incroyable.
When we first chatted with Juan, he shared our initial fascination with the French McDonald's reusable packaging.
If you look at the fries basket, like it looks sort of, you can immediately tell what it is, like a McDonald's fries basket. But it looks kind of modern. It looks kind of like, Apple-fied. Yeah, they kind of nailed it with the design.
Juan also filmed how you ultimately return the dishware. The process seems a lot more dignified than the usual dumping of 500 kilograms of trash into an oversized, nasty, overflowing eat-it-all bin. We went on to model the dishware based on his footage and promotional material, because why not? It's undeniably French. The design studio behind it is called Ilium. They picked a plastic called Trident for the various containers, which is similar to glass and ceramic in its hardness and transparency, and preserves the organoleptic qualities of the food. Vents, graining, striations have all been designed to address their functions in the best possible way. Greasy hands need great grip. The development of this technology took over 2 years. Unsurprisingly, it gets stolen a lot.
Oh.
The reused dishware went viral with good right. But it's just one small part of a much more elegant whole. For a country where eating at the restaurant is the norm, it makes even more sense that the food is not needlessly overpacked anymore.
Yeah, see, the containers, like for the drinks and everything, here in the States, you get free refills, so a lot of people, even when they go inside, they'll drink their drink and then they'll get a refill and then take the rest of it or take another one to go. I think in France, you probably only get one drink, so people sit there, they finish it, and they leave the beverage holder, but I don't think that'll work here because people want to take it with them and drink it later.
It's unclear if relying on reusable plastic is actually more sustainable than switching to long-wearing glass or china. The French government promises to remain vigilant on this question. McDonald's has been doing very tiny steps towards improving their packaging for more than 30 years. Ironically, we made a video in German before knowing about all this, criticizing the chain for greenwashing their enormous trash footprint in Germany and pretend fixing the issue. Some EU directives and one chunky national law later, we get this. To us, this is a story of how business, if set on the right track through legislation, can really leap forward. McDo really did turn around the French anti-plastic legislation to their benefit, simply through introducing a design so noteworthy, people talk about it.
Yeah, good job. Kudos to McDonald's there. I mean, they were able to not only adapt, but to thrive in that challenging market.
Like us,